Hey everybody, strawberries are in season. Yay. It's June and I got these strawberries over at BJ's or Costco, one of those type of stores. They sell these 3-pound containers. So I bought 4 of them. Gives me about 12 pounds, although I did use some of these in sangria yesterday. What I'm going to be making is strawberry wine. Now, you can see I have all my strawberries up there. It's good to go. Now, since these are commercial strawberries and not organic strawberries, and I would even do this if they were organic strawberries, I'm first going to soak and rinse these strawberries in this here veggie wash. And that's going to remove as much of the whatever these have been treated with from the strawberries. I know a lot of people just rinse them off, cut them, and eat them, but I like to make sure that I do a good job rinsing them off and cleaning them well. One of the things I typically do with all of my berry wines, alright, one of the things I'm doing with this video is I'm trying out different yeasts. So I'm going to be making 2 gallons of wine. Now normally I use these two right here, one or the other in my wine. When I picked up this yeast, I spoke to the guy at the homebrew shop, and he told me, you know what, I should try this one in the green pack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 1 gallon of one using one yeast and 1 gallon using the other yeast. And what we're going to do is I'm going to make 2 gallons of this using the exact same strawberries, the exact same recipe. 1 gallon in one and 1 gallon in the other as far as fermenters. And I'm going to have a taste test between both of these yeasts. Because this Blancs and the one I usually use is Premier Cuvée. Alright, so it's going to be interesting to see how different yeasts make a difference in the outcome of the end product of strawberry wine. Now, you'll remember, you see this one in a bunch of different wine kits, and this is a very aggressive yeast that will ferment things out. I think the reason the wine manufacturers use this one a lot, or wine kit manufacturers use this one a lot, is because it's very reliable. Okay, so you have more of a risk with a stuck fermentation with these guys, but these guys will give you a mellower flavor, which is kind of what you want with some of the fruit wines. So I've used this one, the blue one, in other wines, and I like the way it tastes for things like fruit wines better than that one. But I'm going to be trying this one. First time I'm trying this one in the green packet. So I'm going to go for it, and you'll see me back again after I'm done washing off these strawberries and cutting them up and putting them in Ziplocs. Alright, so I got my strawberries in a basin with the veggie wash, and I'm going to be soaking them and cutting the green tops off and putting them in Ziplocs. Woohoo! Hey guys, this is my strawberries I cut up. I've discarded the worst strawberries. I cut off all of the parts that didn't look good, any bad spots on these strawberries, and I'm putting them into Ziplocs. Alright, but I want to show you something really nasty, okay? You might want to have the kitties leave the room. Okay. This is the water that these were soaking in with the veggie wash. Look how dirty and murky this water is. You can't even see my hand on it. This was clean water. So this is what comes off of your strawberries if you don't wash them. If you think you're just washing them in water, you're getting this stuff off, you're not. Look how nasty that water is. If your kids saw that, they might never eat another strawberry ever again. Alright, so check out that article I wrote on my cookingitalianrecipes.com on pesticides and why you should get organic fruit if you can, and all that, because, you know, look how nasty that water is. You definitely want to make sure you get yourself a good veggie wash and use that for all your produce that you buy. This is the one that I like. I've used a couple of them, but this one here works really good. Okay, I'd like to learn how to make one of these. I gotta look that up, so I make my own. But this is made with organic citrus, and there's no chemicals or anything in that. But there you go. Look how nasty that is. So what I'm going to do next is take these strawberries, ziplock them into even ziplocks, like so they're both the same amount, and each one is going to make a gallon of wine. So we're typically going to be doing roughly 5 pounds of fruit or more to a gallon. Okay, so I'm going to get 2 gallon ziplocks and fill them evenly and put them in the freezer, and we'll be back when it's frozen. Alright, so now I got my frozen berries out of the freezer. I have 2 bags, they're rock solid, and I'm going to let these now defrost in this bucket. So you don't have to do this step. You know, a lot of people don't do this step. I do it because I think that when I don't know exactly why it makes better wine, but what I hypothesize is that when the fluids inside the cells in the fruit expand when they're frozen, it ruptures the cell walls, so that when it defrosts, it's more mushy and it breaks down better. So that's what I'm doing, is I freeze this stuff first, and like strawberries or other fruits, I freeze first, and then I defrost it. And it's a little extra time consuming, might take a couple extra days to freeze and then defrost, but that's where we're at now. So I'm going to put this aside, let it defrost. Happy to get some room back in my freezer, and we'll be back when we're ready to do the next steps. Alright kiddies, welcome back. You can see I got my strawberries here, and they defrosted, and you can see that there's already a bunch of fluid in there, and they've reduced in size because they're breaking down. So we're going to get ready to make this strawberry wine, or start making it anyway. So one of the things that I've done is I have cleaned and sanitized just about everything that's going to be touching the wine. And I have my Be Bright solution mixed up in here. And I've cleaned and sanitized 2 buckets. Now normally I'd be doing this in 1 bucket, but because I'm doing an experiment with 2 different types of yeast, I want to keep them separate. So we're doing 1 gallon in each bucket. Now normally when I make wine, I like to make at least 3 gallons, because I got a 3-gallon carboy, but we're going to do 1 gallon of each of these strawberries. So what are some of the things we're going to need to get started? Well, first, of course, cleaning everything is important. But I want to show you something over here. We're going to need some mesh bags. Now you can pick up these bags at a hardware store. I got these at a hardware store. And these are paint straining mesh bags. I'm going to use these bags for to put the pulp of the fruit in. Now, they come in 2 different sizes. This is the 1 gallon, and this is the 5 gallon. Now, normally I use the 5-gallon or 6-gallon or whatever it is I use. These 1-gallon ones may work, but the problem is, if you see the size of the strawberries, well, that might fit in there and everything okay. Somehow you're going to have to close it, seal it closed. So if you wanted to use these small ones for a gallon, you probably can, and use like a zip tie on the top. But it's kind of cutting it close. I like to just tie a loose knot in the top. So I'm going to be using the 5-gallon ones. So when you buy these, make sure you're getting the ones that are appropriate for the size that you're using. You see this one here says 1 gallon. And that one says 5 gallons. Okay, so I'm going to be using the 5-gallon ones. But I wanted to show you the 2 different types that you can get. These are the ones I'm going to be using. So one of the first things we're going to need to do, let me move the video over. The first thing you want to do is you want to take your 5-gallon mesh bags. I got 2 of them here. There's 2 in a pack. And you're going to want to sanitize them. So I've put this in the Be Bright solution. Just because it's new doesn't mean it's necessarily sanitized from any kind of bacteria. I'm going to take that out. I'm going to put it in my pot over here. I'm going to take the second one and sanitize that one as well. Or clean with the Be Bright. Okay. Then, let me flip that around this way. I'm going to make sure I rinse these really well. Because we don't want necessarily Be Bright on everything. So we're going to rinse these really, really well. In fact, the pot that I had it in has some Be Bright in it now. So I'm going to rinse that out. Fill that up with some water. Rinse it out really well. And make sure everything is nice and clean before we get started. So that's my 2 5-gallon mesh bags. Alright, let me get this set up and I'll flip the video around so we can see. Alright, now that we got that going, I have one of my buckets there. I'm going to open up my Ziplocs, strawberries, put it in, turn it completely upside down, and try to get all the juice out of there. Do that to the other. Move that one over. This one here.
So the next thing would be to take either your hands or to take a potato masher, which I'm cleaning and sanitizing. Notice everything that touches the wine gets cleaned and sanitized. And basically you want to break that up. How nice and red that is. Alright. And I'm going to do that to the other one too. Alright. Mash that up really good. Get the rest of the strawberries off. Put every last one of them in there. Alright. Alright, so the next thing we're going to be doing is boiling up some water with some sugar in it. We'll be right back and show you that. Alright, so what I got here is about 2.5 pounds of sugar. And I have a mixture of white sugar and light brown sugar. If you want to, find out the exact amounts that I'm using, check out my blog. I'll put the link for it below. And what I have here is one set that I already started, and this is some boiling water. It's 3.5 quarts of boiling water and 2.5 pounds of sugar added to that. So once this is done, I'm going to do the same thing again for my second bucket. Okay, so I'm going to let that come to a boil, and I'm going to stir it up, make sure all the water is dissolved, and then I'm going to add that to my strawberries. Be right back. Alright, now that my water is boiling, I'm going to take that boiling water and add it to the strawberries. And I'm going to stir that around. And let that sit. I'm going to start the next one, and I'll be back when the next one is poured. We're going to then let that basically sit. Alright, be back. Alright, so the second one is done. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put the tops on this. And let the water cool. Let the mixture cool. So I'm going to pretty much put the tops on. We'll come back in about an hour or two, and we'll take it from there. One of the things I wanted to mention though is you've seen me using just my tap water, okay? And what you need to know is I have 2 filters on my house, 2 whole house filters. So my water is very filtered and very good quality here. If you don't have good water, or if you don't have a filter, I would highly recommend using bottled water. The quality of your water is going to have a big effect on your wine. So definitely Distilled water is a good idea. Bottled water, you know, if you have highly chlorinated or sulfur water, you know, you definitely want to have good quality water. Alright, so we'll be back when this is ready. Alright, so the next step is to take, I mixed together some yeast nutrient and a Camden tablet that's crushed and some acid blend and some grape tannin, and you can get all the amounts on my website. I'm going to pour that in to each one. And I'm going to stir that around. Put the top back on, and we're going to wait 12 hours before we put in the pectic enzyme. Alright, so 12 hours later we'll be back. Hey guys, it's the next morning. Next morning. And one of the things that didn't come out on the video was I tied a knot in the top of the bags. I don't know if you could see this too easily. To close them. Alright. I tied a knot in the top of the bag, excuse me. I thought I had the video recorder going and it wasn't going, but I tied a knot in the top of the bags and put it in all the way. And you can see the juice here is starting to be pretty red. And this the next morning. I wasn't going to get up at 3:30 in the morning to do this. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. So what I'm going to add next, pectic enzyme. Very important to add this. So I'm going to add roughly, follow the directions on it, it's a half teaspoon per gallon. A little bit more than that. And stir that in. Alright, I'm going to do that with the other one too. And, you know, good thing to note is you see me using the spoon again. I've cleaned the spoon every single time it touches the wine. So, after we put the yeast in, every day we're going to come in and stir this up. That means every day I'm washing the spoon. So make sure you know, are real good about cleaning up the spoon or anything that touches the wine. Alright, put that back on. Move this one over. This one over here. If you can see that. Looks pretty much the same as the other one. Not in the top of the bag. I'm going to add our pectic enzyme. Alright, stir that in. now what I do is I put the tops back on, and we gotta wait at least 12 hours for that to break down the pectin. Now the reason you want to do that is a lot of fruits, almost all fruit, has pectin. And if you don't use this pectic enzyme, what will happen is you'll get this, what they call a pectic haze in your wine. So you want to make sure you use this. And the directions say, put in a half teaspoon per gallon of wine must before fermentation begins. So that's what we're doing now. We're going to give that 12 hours now, or more, to sit before we add the yeast. The yeast is the last part. All in all, it has to be at least 24 hours after you put the Camden tablet, which was in the last stuff I threw in yesterday, like around 3:30. Alright, so it's 6 o'clock, 6:18 now. So roughly probably around 7 o'clock tonight I'm going to be adding the yeast. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, the moment we've been waiting for. This is when the wine is going to actually become wine, when the yeast hits the wine, or the must. Okay, we're going to try 2 different yeasts. As you can see, I made everything exactly the same for both of these pails. We're going to try 2 different yeasts, so the control is going to be, or experiment I should say, is going to be to try 2 different yeasts when everything else being exactly the same. So we're going to try this one in the blue pack, and that one in the green. Now normally I would use this one, or a couple of other ones that I've been fond of, but I'm going to try both of these on a recommendation, and we'll see at the end which one, or the properties of each one, how it's different. So just so we know, the one with the blue pack is in a Regina plastic pail, where this Toro is going to be for the one with the green. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up, and I'm basically going to sprinkle the yeast on top of the must. Now there's 2 ways you could do this. You could put the yeast in some water with some sugar, let it sit, go. If you want to see how to do that way, look at my stuck fermentation video. Okay, but in this case I'm just going to sprinkle the yeast on top of the must. So here we go. Set up the video. We'll do this one first. Okay, so I'm going to be sprinkling the yeast on top. And that's it. Just sprinkle the yeast on top. Now, you would think that if you stir the yeast, it would be better. Stir it in, mix it up nice. It's actually better just to sprinkle it on top. What will happen is the fermentation will happen quicker, or get started quicker. Okay, so I'm going to snap the cover down on that one. And now for the other one. Zoom in a little bit. I know how exciting this is. For me, it's exciting anyway. It's what I call alchemy. Okay. Here we go. And that's it. You just sprinkle it on top and let it go. Actually, let me show you a little bit better. Hopefully you can see what it looks like. Okay. That's basically it. The other method of doing this is making a slurry, which would mean you would take like a 1/4 cup to a 1/2 cup of warm water, not boiling, not hot. Add the yeast to it. Well, I would first add like a little bit of sugar to it, add the yeast to it. Activate it for like a 1/2 hour, stirring it around. You get all nice and foamy, then put it in. I like this method. It's a little bit simpler, and simpler is better. Alright, so I know the first video in this strawberry wine video is a bit long. This is the longest part of it. Doing the primary fermentation, getting the must ready. You know, it took a little while, but from here on in it's going to be pretty much more simpler to make wine. Alright, thanks for watching. Check out the rest of the series, and we'll see which yeast was better, or they both just different. We'll find out. Alright, suspense. Catch you guys later. Bye-bye. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my video channel here on YouTube, and check out my blog at www.cooking-italian-recipes.com for great Italian recipes, tips on organic gardening, winemaking, and herbalism, and all other kind of fun stuff that I'm into. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, tell your friends. Take care.